What is going on, everybody? I am Rob Westerman of GBP Daily, and I'm going to chat today just a little bit about what's been going on over the last few weeks surrounding the Packers. Our season ended a few weeks ago at the hand of the Niners in just embarrassing fashion yet again. Packers offense scores more points on their opening drive than the 49ers scored all game. So we still lost. I just just put this down as another playoff loss where things that never happened happen. Mercedes Lewis loses a fumble for the first time since 2013. Aaron Rodgers is playing MVP ball all season long, was basically a no-show. Every single wide receiver not named Devonte Adams didn't have a single target entering the fourth quarter. So a blocked field goal, blocked punt return for a touchdown. All of these things happened in the same game, and that game was just the most important one of the season. So there you have it. At home, the 1 seed, Lambeau Field was cold. We're playing the 6 seed 49ers, and we go one and done in a season where, in my opinion, we had the best team we've had in a long time. It's just absolutely heartbreaking that it ended like that. So all of these things I'm about to say are true. If our special teams plays like a D-graded game, we win. If Aaron Rodgers plays at a C or C plus level, we win. Like, it's not that hard. It's just tough because our defense finally plays how we've been all begging them to play for, and our offense and special teams just downright doesn't show up. Defense played an outstanding game. Without them, we probably lose by 2+ scores, but it's 3rd and 7 at the end of the game. 49ers get a first down on a run by Deebo Samuel to get them closer on the game-winning field goal. This is a play that hurt me like just as much as any other play. I just don't understand. We stopped them on 4th and 1 the previous drive, and it's 3rd and 7. Everybody in the stadium knows that they're running the ball to get just a little closer for the field goal try. We blow it, giving them a first down. They run it down all the way to 3 seconds or whatever, and they kick it. Season over. We lose 13-10. To be up 10-3 with like 4 or whatever minutes left in regulation and lose that game in regulation is just ridiculous. I could see, we're up 10-3 with 4 minutes left. We punt it, they go down, score a touchdown, and tie it, go to overtime, and then whatever happens. But to lose that game in regulation at home, it just sucks. Yeah, the 3rd and 7. I know they played their asses off all game long, but that was, like I said, that was as tough as any other play that I had seen during the whole game. So the worst and most embarrassing part is on the game-winning field goal. The Packers had 10 players out there to defend it. 10 fucking players, man. I just don't get it. It's embarrassing. It'd be another thing if we played a great game, they played a great game and just beat us. But it's like every time we come into these huge games, we put an embarrassing product of football on the field in front of everybody who's watching after all season long playing super well. And I was super confident, and then to go out like that just sucks. So by this time, everybody already knows all this. Just for my own personal reasons, it feels a little better to get it off my chest. So let's officially move on to the offseason. We're just a couple weeks removed. We've had a ton of things happening around the team. Special teams coordinator Maurice Drayton was fired, and he was replaced with the favorite, Rich Bisaccia. So I've heard he's loved by his players. He led the Raiders to the playoffs after the crazy things that happened out in Vegas with them. The whole John Gruden thing, the drunk driving incident, and the other stuff. I'm not even going to get into that. But I took a look at his special teams ranking during his career as a coordinator. They're not great, but they're not bad also. As I said earlier, if the special teams doesn't play like a terribly bad, awful, like worst ever level in the most important game of the season, we probably win that game. And who knows what happens against the Rams, and we could be playing tomorrow if we didn't let a punt get blocked for a touchdown. And that block, I saw a clip. I think it was posted by Packers History. It was where the ball was snapped. Hunter Bradley just gets absolutely demolished, and Henry Black just kind of takes a sidestep to the left and runs down the field. If he would have taken a sidestep to the right and just assisted with the block for Hunter, who knows what could have happened? But that doesn't matter. That's not down to that one play. I'm just talking about it specifically. But anyways, everybody, including myself, we're just begging for an average unit. That's it. We don't need a top 5 unit. We need a top 25, a top 20 unit to survive those type of games. So here are his rankings over his career. His best year came in 2017 when he was with Dallas, ranking 5th overall across the league. 2018 with the Raiders was 19th overall. 2019, the unit was 25th overall. 2020 was 16th overall. In 2021, when he took over as interim head coach for the Raiders, their unit was 11th overall. So, like I said, not terrible, not great, just kind of right in the middle of the field. So, yeah, Troy. The special teams was pathetic before that playoff loss. Hoping special teams is straight next season. That was such a slow effort. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. It was bad all year. The field goal unit was just a mess, which is why I'll get into it a little bit later. I don't think Mason Crosby needs to be shown the door. I'll get into that in a little bit, but everything about the special teams all year long was a mess. The kickoff coverage unit was a mess. Even against the Niners, it was bad. They had great starting field position almost every time, and our defense still held them to 6 points on offense. So yeah, I'm right there with you, Troy. It's just been bad. So Bisaccia doesn't have a crazy resume, a great special teams unit, but literally anything other than what we put out there the last few years is better for the Packers. So next up, the team overall, it's going to look different this next year with the obvious cap situation we're in. I don't think it's going to be as bad as everybody else thinks it's going to be. So let's start with Randall Cobb. Unless he comes back for a super cheap deal, I don't think there's any way he returns, which stinks. Everybody loves Cobby. The fact we couldn't get him a ring just hurts. You saw that interview he did a week before the playoff game about how passionate he was and how emotional he got when talking about the Packers. That fired me up. Clearly didn't fire up the team, at least not to the extent that they needed to be fired up to. Lex on Twitter says Crosby can be the place kicker and not the kickoff man. Colts did it for years with Pat and Vin. I don't mind that. I don't think Mason is fully to blame for the field goal unit as a whole or missed field goals because we all saw all those, the rushing breakdown or blocking breakdowns and everything going on with that. So, back to Cobby, wide receiver room as a whole. It's going to be pretty interesting to keep an eye on this offseason. You got Devonte Adams up for either a monster contract extension, franchise tag, or he leaves in free agency. He's the best receiver in the world. I just don't see how letting him walk in any situation is like an option for Green Bay. I hope they sign him to an extension. He's worth it. He earned it. Otherwise, letting him walk is just a mistake by the Packers. No other way to put it. You can't just let the best in the league go. I mean, you hope to have the best guys on your team, and eventually you're going to have to pay them. I mean, if you're just going to have the best until they need a contract extension, I don't know. We'll see with him. No other way to put it, though. Lazard and MVS, they're also guys who could either return or go. So this room could be a lot different here in a few months. I love Lazard. He's great at blocking. MVS has been hurt a little bit. I'd love to have them both back, but some tough decisions going on with that room. So tight ends up next here could either look exactly the same, or different this next season. I know they added a tight end about this last week, but Mercedes Lewis is the one with the most uncertainty, in my opinion. Will he retire? Will he come back for another year? Who knows? He's obviously the best blocking tight end ever, and if he doesn't come back, I'm all for it. I spoke with Packers tight end Dominique Daphne a few months back, and he had a ton to say about Mercedes. Great leader for the rest of the room, and obviously his impact on the field is huge too. Big Bob tore his ACL last year, so I don't want to take any guesses on when he'll return because we all know with D-Box situation, nobody knows how long it's going to take to recover from that. So another disappointing thing this season, and to me it was just sad. I love David Bakhtiari, and not being able to see him play just sucked. I know he played during the Lions game and whatever, that game as a whole didn't matter. He's only out there for the first few drives. I just miss seeing him out there this year, and it obviously hurt us not having him. Elton Jenkins tore his ACL during the Vikings game late this season, so we may or may not see him, early next year at all. I don't know with these ACL things, and especially with the bigger guys, it obviously takes a little bit longer for them to heal up. So losing Elton is brutal, and it showed this last season, and I hope we can see him at some point. I'm guessing maybe later in the season. I believe it was in November during the Vikings game was when he tore it. So if we just say a year, we'll see him for the last 4 or 5 games for the year, and hopefully the playoffs if we're in a position to make them. So although I hope he has a great recovery, then we get to see him play because he's one of our best, overall players on the team. He's probably, top 7-6 player overall on the team. So super important for the offensive line, obviously. Defensive side, pretty interesting as well. Of course, everything is interesting about this team with the situation, with the cap, with Rodgers, with everything going on. Everything is just must-watch off-season content. So Devanteri Campbell, he had an all-pro season. I'm not sure if the Packers will bring him back or not, but they absolutely should. Having him out there obviously made a huge difference, as everybody already knows. But outside of Rodgers and Devonte, I think it starts with him as far as who's coming back or not. We haven't had a great inside linebacker in quite some time. So only time will tell if we decide to bring him back or not. So I hope we do. He's earned he's been in the league a while and he played great last year. I think he's earned a pretty good contract. I don't know if the Packers are gonna prioritize that position like they haven't in the past, but we'll see. Perfect world, LT Bach, left guard Runyon, Myers center, Patrick guard, right tackle Jenkins. That's interesting. Billy Turner is nowhere to be found. He could be a cap casualty this year too. So that's a good point by Lex on Twitter. Appreciate that. Next up, the Smith brothers. Man, it was just over a year ago, and the year before that, where the Smith brothers was a thing. And they were awesome to watch. Great pair. Everybody loved that duo. The interviews were awesome. They're talking about how Rashawn is going to get implemented into that group, but it's almost certainly over just like that. Zadarius didn't play all year besides in the Saints and 49er game. He didn't play well in the Saints game. He was hurt. 49ers game, he played well from what I could tell. Had a sack in the first quarter, I think it was. But I'm assuming he'll be on a different team next year. He had the Instagram post where it's basically was a farewell is what I took from that. I know he's wanting to get paid, which he should, but I don't see him back. So Preston Smith may or may not be back. My guess is that they hang on to him. He had a great year. I wouldn't be surprised either way, though. Just a bummer. All these fun and great scenarios with the Smith brothers, Big Dog, Elton, D-Bot controlling the O-line, all or at least a couple of these are going to be out the window. Elton might not be out there for most of next season. Big Dog could not be back. Smith brothers is almost certainly over. I talk about it all the time that I wish we were told that we were in the good old days before we left them, because those were the good old days, and hopefully we can have some more of these next season, but it's not looking like we will as far as with those 3 situations. So last but not least, it may be least, I don't know however way you want to put it, special teams, Mason Crosby, Corey Bojorquez, Hunter Bradley, a trio that I'm almost certain we won't see again. All 3 guys have a chance to not be on the team next year. Depending on the cost for Bojorquez, I'd like to keep him. And for Mason Crosby, I've said this on the show many times, he's one of my favorite Packers of all time. I wouldn't mind keeping him this next year, having a true open competition between him and J.J. Molson, who's on the Packers practice squad. I know Mason had a down year, but that field goal unit as a whole was just an absolute mess. Blocking was never consistent. The snaps and holds weren't always the best. So I'm not putting the blame entirely on Mason, and I'm definitely not showing him the door. So my hope is that they bring him back. They give him a chance, Say, hey, prove to us that you still got it. And if he does, you can't move on from Mason if you still got it. And Andrew Brandt always says, you never appreciate a kicker until you either don't have one or you really appreciate a kicker when you do have one. They're like lawyers or whatever he always says. So it's just keep Mason, whether it's for true competition in the training camp. And if he doesn't do well, then cut him and say thanks for a great career. He's Packers all-time leading scorer. That'll be interesting to watch. So let's touch on the Aaron Rodgers situation for a second. I don't want to spend too much time on it because I think we'll hear from him within the next few weeks on what he's wanting to do. But based on his comments after accepting his MVP award the other night, things seem to be at least positive when talking about the relationship between him and the front office. He didn't give away any clues or any notion that he's staying or leaving, but the relationship seems to be good. So the Packers have done about everything he's asked them to do. So I think at this point, it's just up to Rodgers on whether he wants to stay or whether he wants to go. If you were to ask me right now, I think he's coming back. James Jones said Rodgers is coming back, and James Jones is always right. So I will go with JJ on that one. That's just where I'm at, though, with the whole situation. So I don't see him getting traded to an AFC team where his chances at a Super Bowl are less than what they are with the Packers. And that's obviously what he wants to do, is win another Super Bowl because he deserves one, I think. I don't know. That kind of slipped out of my mouth. I'm not sure if he's played well to deserve it, but he's got a chance. And if he stays with us, I think it's the best chance he's got. So over the next few weeks, hopefully we'll know what's going to happen with 12. Like everything else I'm talking about, only time will tell. Last but not least, Leroy Butler has been inducted in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Although it took longer than it should have, he is finally in, and that's all that matters. So huge congratulations to Leroy and his family. I was a little young to watch him while he was playing, but, man, I've seen as much as YouTube has to offer on Leroy, and I had no doubt in my mind that he would eventually make it to the Hall. So speaking of repping Leroy, appreciate you, man. Congratulations. Back to Aaron Rodgers quick. He wins his 4th MVP on Thursday night. The only player in NFL history with more MVPs is Peyton Manning with 5. Here's our list of players who have the most MVPs. Peyton Manning with 5. Aaron Rodgers with 4. Tom Brady, Brett Favre, Johnny Unitas, and Jim Brown all have 3. And if you remember, how could you forget Brett Favre getting his 3 MVPs in 3 straight years, back to back to back? That's pretty incredible. So, folks, that does it here for me today. Thank you for tuning in, chatting Packers with me. I miss it. I miss all the news every week, and obviously the games each weekend. And I miss the hope of having a shot at the Super Bowl. They're playing. You're like, oh yeah, we could win it this year, and then, it's over, and yeah, it's over. But 31 out of 32 teams fail each year. Fortunately, it is another year of failing, falling short of what seemed to be a run that we could have easily made if we would have played not even up to our standards, but just, above average from what we were doing all year long. And I don't even want to get back into it. So please follow me on Twitter at RobWesterman3 and follow GBP Daily on the socials as well if you aren't already, at GBP Daily on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Subscribe to the channel. Just because the season's over does not mean the content stops this offseason. It's going to be filled with a lot of stories, so I'll be posting every day per usual and hopping on, here on YouTube once or twice a week to chat some Packers with you guys. So thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys later. Thank you.